everybody. Welcome to the 6th episode of Unfamiliar Territory. I'm joined by my co-host, Calikitis.
Hi, everyone.
And if you saw the recent ban restricted announcement, there was recent bans added to Pauper. So we're going to talk about the bans, how it affected familiars, how it affected the meta, and what we expect the meta to look like. So, Callie, do you want to talk about what got banned?
So, on this Monday, 7/13/2020, we have now seen that Mystic Sanctuary has been banned, which is a big one for us, and Expedition Map has been banned, which may not be that big.
So, Mystic Sanctuary was a card that we did play in Familiars ever since it was released, since it was a very key combo piece, but it also harmed our deck at the same time, since other blue decks were able to abuse it more than we were. So, this ban of Mystic Sanctuary was probably better than it was bad. But the Expedition Map ban was not really what we expected.
Yeah, I would say that Mystic Sanctuary allowing for Delver decks to have just an infinite counterspell lock on people was a net negative for the format. Obviously it put a lot of good lines into the Familiars deck. Like, we could have infinite mana, we could have infinite card draw, and just kind of go off at instant speed. That was pretty amazing. And a little bit after that, when you take that out of the deck, it really potentially reduces the power level, or at least makes you have to have a lot fewer flex slots. So we should probably be fine moving forward. It's just not feeling that great. And then the other ban for Expedition Map, Wizards' reasoning was that they wanted to weaken Tron, but not take it out of the format, just because it reduces, completely killing a deck is not something that they are wanting to do. But honestly, as soon as it came out, all the Tron players were just laughing.
Yeah, I was one of those that were also laughing at the bans.
Well, we saw players like Hellsaw. He said that he wanted to play Preordain over Expedition Map, but he just really didn't feel like testing new things while something was working already. And then we also have the option for running something like Croc Rotation to get Tron at instant speed, and basically have 7 copies of every Tron land instead of 4. It doesn't seem like it's going to have a very large impact on Tron itself.
Especially with Mystic Sanctuary being gone, being that, blue decks were like the Predator to Tron. They can't really catch up with Tron anymore due to Bonder's Ornament, and them just having everything now. So it seems like Tron is very, very well positioned in the meta now.
Yeah, it seems like Tron really didn't lose anything, and with the addition of Bonder's Ornament and even the Thriving lands, they're super consistent at this time, so it's going to be pretty problematic moving forward, especially for Familiars decks. When we don't have access to Mystic Sanctuary, we were really relying on bounce lands to do a lot of action, but we don't have that now, and the bounce lands are super weak to Dinrova Horror. And additionally, we don't have some value flickers for Muldrifter to gain a couple cards, and we don't force them to kind of hold open their mana because they're not super worried about dying.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we're back in the meta before Blue Monday, where, we have a very bad matchup against Tron, like in our previous episode with Blood Pet, where we went in depth about that. But we had a very bad matchup against Tron, but we had good matchups against pretty much everything else. And it seems like we're in that position again where, we're going to lose to Tron, but we might be able to beat out all the other aggro and mid-range strategies around in this meta.
Yeah, it's a scary position for me because I don't think that we are well favored against Tron, and if it's the top dog, you can expect people to be playing it. Maybe not as much in leagues, at least from what I've been seeing in this past week. It seems like the cost and just the timeout possibility for Tron is keeping people away from it. But if people think that Tron doesn't exist, there will be a lot of aggro and mid-range, and maybe even some weird control decks that we can kind of prey on. So hopefully we can do that.
Yeah, for sure. I think I've seen 3 Boros decks every league so far, and one Tron deck in my last 3 leagues, so I expect to not see that much Tron in leagues, but in challenges, I expect to see a lot of it.
Yeah, I'm wondering how we can attack the meta in this case.
I think, well, right now, the meta seems like it's Boros, Tron, and Wall combo kind of decks like that, where they just try to win on turn 3 or 4, which might be kind of difficult for us. I have to figure out how to tech against them.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of just really hyper fast aggro like Goblins and Stompy and Affinity. And, we can make our main board a little bit better for that and then just kind of lose to Tron game 1. It just feels so bad to have to, like, put the walls back in and just have so many fewer flex slots.
Yeah, it really does. Especially now that we're, like, forced to play bounce lands. It just feels weird now. I'm not sure how Familiar is going to be positioned at this moment.
And I've been going through a bunch of testing. Tried starting out with basically the same lists and just kind of swapping out some of the anti-aggro for the mnemonic walls, but you don't have an infinite combo in that kind of a list. And then you had been trying a list with Prosperous Pirates. Do you want to go over that?
Yeah, so I kind of figured out that Prosperous Pirates kind of does the same thing of Mystic Sanctuary. What I kind of mean by that is that, with Mystic Sanctuary, you can make infinite mana, you can draw your deck, you can pretty much do everything you want with Mystic Sanctuary. But with Prosperous Pirates, you can do the exact same thing, because if you have Mnemonic Wall, 2 Familiars, a Ghostly Flicker, and a Prosperous Pirates, you can flicker Pirates and Mnemonic Wall, and you produce 1 mana every time you do that. So if you have a, let's say, Seagate Oracle on the battlefield, you can make infinite mana and draw your deck, and then just win from there with stuff like Sage Denizen or Compulsive. All those work. And the cool thing about Prosperous Pirates is that if you have 1 Familiar and a Sage Denizen, you can, and a Mnemonic Wall as well, you can flicker Mnemonic Wall and Pirates and deck them out that way, just with 1 Familiar. So I've been a huge fan of the deck so far. I ended up getting a 3-2 and a 4-1 so far.
Nice. So you're 7 for 10 with the Pirates plan, and then me with my non-Pirates plan, I was also 7 for 10. And then I started kind of screwing around, trying new things, trying to work on the Pirates one, and got kind of beat up in the leagues.
Yeah, it seems like Tron matchup is still very, very bad. I think I'm just going to take that as a loss in leagues. There's not a whole lot of it. But, for the other, Boros decks that I play against very constantly, I'm pretty much building it just to beat those, so.
That makes sense. When you're facing a mid-range deck like that that's not going to interact with your lands, you definitely can get away with being a greedy 6 Karoo or bounce land mana base. My concern lately has been that things like Boros Bully or even Burn have been starting to put Molten Rain into the deck, and that has been getting me a couple of times, so that's something you have to watch out for.
Yeah, I have seen people bring in Molten Rain against me, but usually they draw it so late that it doesn't really matter. And the good thing about that is that they're taking pressure off just to kill your land. So, even if they do Molten Rain to me, I don't really care a lot of the time. Because there's just one less bet that they're going to have on the battlefield to actually kill me. It's like Relic.
One of the things to note about this deck right now is that with the Pirates build, that's the same build from 2017, and none of the cards that are in it are new. Whereas something like Stompy or Elves has a bunch of upgrades. Stompy has Savage Swipe, and Elves has Winding Way or Lead the Stampede. I'm not sure if they were playing that in 2017, but they just have so much more early game power that it's hard for you to block out the game super quick. So it's kind of like you're thinking about how can we manage the game state in a better way. I've gotten pretty beat up by like turn 2 double or triple burning tree into a river boa, and it's just like I can't even draw my Stonehorn.
Yeah, those starts are just really rough in general. I've been lucky enough to get a turn 5 when I was gonna die the turn after. That's the good thing about Prosperous Pirates is that, it allows for crazy fast kills, which I really like a lot. Something that Sanctuary could not do.
Sanctuary's earliest kill would have been turn 5, and then you got a turn 5, so that's nice. The wonder is, like, can you turn 4 or turn 3? Probably not turn 3.
Yeah, turn 3 is not possible, but turn 4 is, but it's very, very, very low chance that could happen.
It's kind of crazy. It's cool that Pirates makes 2 mana, and then that opens up a couple of new loops, but then you're kind of, like, worried about drawing dead. I did have a couple of times when I just blasted my opponent really quickly with infinite everything, and I gotta say it's pretty satisfying to do that versus like when I was playing against Tron in the leagues with my no pirates list. It was basically a chess game. Like, how can I get them to make a mistake or tap them low? And they had like only Tron lands, 2 prisms and 2 ornaments. And on their turn, they tried to draw some action with an ornament, and then drew like another Tron land. And then they had like prism ornament, and I knew they had a counterspell in hand. So I think at the end of their turn, no, I don't know. I played something and I had a prohibit up, and then I was able to prohibit their counterspell. They only had 1 blue mana and no other way to counter things. And then I just played out my familiars and wall and Sage Row and won from there. So it's like that way is like a chess game, but you have so many more draw spells. Like in my deck, I had 4 Seagate, 4 DA. I had, I think, 5 cantrips. So it's just like really packing a lot, and 1 Echoing Truth. I'm going to be very sad to like if I have to not play the Echoing Truth at this time, because it provides so much value for shenanigans that might come up. Like it can have value versus like Bogles or a random Pestilence or like a main deck relic, and kind of help you out a lot that way.
Yeah. I think with Pirate Fams, you kind of just have to be like super explosive game 1. I'm not packing in any anti-aggro. I'm just going all in game 1. And I actually have this match versus Tron where it was turn 6, they were tapped out, and I ended up seeing 45 cards and no wall. If I drew a wall, I would have won. And it was 45 so sad.
Cards.
Yep. They were all on the bottom 15. It was so sad.
Yeah, that's what happens. There's some variance. I just tried out the Pirates Fams, and I lost because I had 1 familiar in the first 25 or 35 cards, which was sad. But these things happen. So to get around variance, you can add more cantrips, which is potentially an option. Maybe like the list that I was playing with no pirates could be playing like 6 cantrips and then just all 4 ofs and no anti-aggro. That might help like dig around. I don't know. It's gonna be a wild ride, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think the old 420 Dragon lists, I don't think he ever was really on the pirate train.
He actually he did. It was one of the first videos I ever saw was him punking somebody with pirates.
The old Esper Fams.
And he's the one that introduced me to familiars via Killing Me with Compulsive 2017. So,
but I mean, he played mostly just like regular, straightforward familiars.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for like consistency, because if you get to a point where like if I'm playing against Stompy and I have to bring in 4 Stonehorns, like what do I cut? I guess maybe you could cut like 1 wall maybe, but it seems scary. It's very sketchy to go down just two walls. You can cut the Sage Road Denizen, and then some of the expensive draw spells. But then if you lose all your draw spells, then you can't draw into more Stonehorns or more ways to flicker the Stonehorns, and then you just die anyway.
Yeah, I usually bring in all my Stonehorns and then cut a wall, and then a couple deep analysis and some other stuff like that. I mean, you just want to do stuff in the early game, and then by mid game, when they're about to kill you, you can just slam a Stonehorn. But the good thing about my list is that I play 5 card draw spells, so if you got like 2 deep analysis, you're not really losing much. Because you just have 3 compulsive. I don't know, this is still like the first couple days of testing though, so there's not we're not fully sure on what's correct or what's not.
It doesn't feel good to be in the testing mode and just getting slammed by people playing Stompy.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
They're like punished.
Yeah, it's super sad. Although, one thing I am testing right now is Inside Out for walls. There's a lot of walls in leagues right now, so I want to try to beat that deck as much as I possibly can, because I'm tired of losing to it so much. So I'm packing in 2 Excludes and 2 Inside Outs right now to try to beat it.
Yeah, Excludes are nice, and I think that with the bounce lands, you'll be more likely to like be able to snap and play the Exclude, even if you don't have something going on. And hopefully 2 Excludes can be enough to stop Dinrova out of Tron.
I have been trying out, regular Tribe, Inside Out Tribe. And I did play against walls. And when they were about to go off, I Inside Outed their Axebane Guardian. And then I won the next turn. It felt really good.
Yeah, did it work? So it can work, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Nice.
I think it's possible that Inside Out could be a consideration right now. But
well, it will be interesting to see. And I think that the challenge this coming Saturday will kind of show where things are headed. Although the challenge should be very heavy into Tron because all the grinders are going to be playing Tron. So we'll probably see like Tron and Walls and Stompy.
Yep. That's what I'm expecting too. Maybe some amount of NBC, who knows?
Yeah. It's interesting because like a lot of the lists that exist now were kind of teched out as well as they could to beat up on Tron, or at least try to beat Tron. And Tron is basically unaffected by the ban, whereas Familiars is drastically decrease the efficiency. So now we're in a state where we're like, wow, we are really a dog to all these decks that we used to be pretty good against.
Yeah, it's really depressing. I was really hoping that they would get rid of the Tron Lance plus Sanctuary. Since they kind of both prey on each other. Sanctuary beats up Tron, then Tron beats up everything else, but, you're only removing one of the pieces. And then, Tron's just now going to take over everything.
Yeah, and one of the things that we've also talked about is that even if they did remove Sanctuary and Tron, then, the Delver decks have lost all their power from Blue Monday and from this ban, and then aggro decks have just been getting more powerful. And one of the things that I forgot to mention was that something like Affinity, you used to just be able to throw in your 3 Hydroblasts and be pretty much safe, because they're just going to Gal Blast you, Flang you, or Tog you. But now they're playing a bunch of Dispels as backup, and it's really difficult to kind of like maneuver.
Yeah, I think for the bans, I would have the perfect ban list, I think, or the perfect BNR would have been the Tron Lands, Sanctuary, Monarch, and Ephemerate.
You think that you would get rid of the mid-range tools but leave all the aggro tools?
Maybe they get rid of BT, I don't know. But I think aggro is just kind of volatile to removal.
Yeah. Seems like they're going super wide lately with like elves and walls, and even Stompy can go wide immediately. So it's hard to do. And talking in the Discord, basically the plan of Stonehorn or like Moment's Peace is your best bet, because 1-for-1ing is really not a thing that can even be profitable anymore. We did a little bit of testing trying to just like bring in Flame Slash as like an out to affinities creatures and to walls, and that went very poorly. I brought in Flame Slash against Stompy, and I Flame Slashed the creature, and then they proceeded to double Hunger of the Howlpack, Ledgewalker, and on their turn play Elephant Guide and hit me for 8 or 12. I don't remember what it was on turn 3. It was a sad time. So it's like you have to play around all these other things now. Whereas before we just had like 3 Prohibits and Archaeomancers in the deck. It was really nice.
Yeah, on like the topic of counters, that's also something that we need to test out, is like what's the correct counters to play right now.
So let's think about what are the ones that are potential options. Prohibit, I would say, negate, possibly like a one of exclude, and then also counterspell. So Prohibit is great because you can counter like a creature that's going to really wreck you, or you can stop Burning Tree Emissary trains or Squadron Hawk trains, and that's been very awesome. But you can't prohibit a Ghostly Flicker in the early game, and you can't prohibit a Pestilence. So that's going to not be super helpful. And then it seems like with the bounce lands, that Prohibit's not able to be held up as easily, because you're constantly playing tap lands and returning other lands and kind of developing your mana that way. So you just don't have as much like open mana.
I've actually really liked Prohibit in my bounce land lists, because you can go turn 1 land, turn 2 bounce land. You can't hold up turn 2 Prohibit, but turn 3 you can play Familiar, hold up Prohibit, which is always nice.
Yeah, and I think that one of the major problems with Stompy since like 2017 era is that you can't just snap their creature, because they're going to have a Vines in response, and they can use their Savage Swipe to force you to have the snap, and then they just have the Vines. So if you have something like a Prohibit or a Negate, then you can manage that really pretty well. Now, I think Prohibit and Negate pretty much do the same thing, because we don't have Spellstutter Sprite in the format anymore. So it kind of comes down to how many small creatures do you care about. And I'm not sure there are that many.
I think I figured out that like Prohibit's good against like Stompy and the like, where you can counter stuff turn 2, kind of just slow them down a turn. But Negate's much better against stuff like Tron and Pestilence and those kinds of decks, where you can like counter ornaments or counter Ghostly Flicker early, those kinds of things.
Yeah, I think countering an ornament would be pretty clutch, so that's something to think about. And then the last, maybe not as good option would be playing Counterspell. And one of the first things that I tried after the bans was to be playing something like 4 bounce lands and a bit more regular islands, and that allows me to be playing a Counterspell. Playing that gives you like a main deck out to Tron, which is great. And then we just have a problem of trying not to get mana flooded, because like in order to play Counterspell, you have to be playing quite a few islands, and then you're just going to be drawing all your lands because we're not fetching them out.
It's also very awkward with bounce lands.
I might try to play the kind of Ephemerates Counterspell deck with main deck Stonehorns and see how that goes.
Yeah, I think for Blue-White FU, I have been leaning towards playing 3 Counterspell, 1 Prohibit. I usually play 2 to 3 Prohibit instead. And I'm also playing 1 main deck Exclude, just to, beat up Tron a little bit.
I guess I just have to figure out how you want to manage the gameplay. Because like Ephemerate can be hard to land, so maybe just one of them. But it's super. The thing about Ephemerate is that it's really good against aggressive decks, because you can Ephemerate the Wall and the Stonehorn on your turn for 1 mana. So you have a Fog Lock for 1 mana, even without a Familiar in play. And I think that might be very important in this format with a massive amount of aggro decks.
Yeah, I really do like blue at FU against aggro, so I might have to give it a shot again. I'm just not sure if it's good against Tron still or not.
Well, as long as you can set up an Ephemerate lock.
Yeah. Just hope they don't have, like, double Pyroblast.
Well, I guess after game 1 you can cut. So in my deck I was playing 4 Faithfuls and 2 Stonehorns, and that allows you to bring in up to 6 counterspells, which could be good.
So going into our, like, next segment, so with the recent bans, how do we think the meta is going to change now with Expedition Map and Mystic Sanctuary banned?
I personally think that you're going to see a Darth, or a very low amount of Delver decks. Maybe some mono blue Delver for those people that really want to try to just pressure. But I think that Tron being a dominant force is going to cause lots and lots and lots of Pyroblasts in the sideboards of anything that's playing red. And we're also probably going to see lots of Fairy Macabres for any creature deck. And then we're going to continue to see whatever aggro deck can potentially win on turn 3 or 4. I don't think we're going to be seeing like the resurgence of Is It Blitz or Tireless Tribe, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I did go into this a little bit, or for like a good hour on my rant stream. But from Expedition Map being banned and Mystic Sanctuary being banned as well, you know, now Tron has no Predators, and it's only like turn 3 decks. So I'm expecting the meta to pretty much only look like Tron decks and aggro turn 3, 4 decks. If they can't win before turn 5, they're gonna lose to Tron, pretty much. But I think we'll also see like a resurgence of aggro and other weird combo decks like Tribe still. Maybe we see Blitz come up. I'm not entirely sure. But I don't think Tron was very much harmed from this banning at all. And blue decks are now pretty much dead. You know, they can't really catch up with anything now. And now they're just worse against everything. So I expect blue decks to be low on the radar and other combo fast kill decks to be tier 1. Maybe Walls becomes tier 1. Who knows?
It's possible that something like Mono Black Control and Pestilence will spring up quite a bit in leagues because of the minimal amount of Tron players in leagues. I mean, we probably have like 20 to 30 people that play Tron on a regular basis in our league, whereas, you know, the rest of it's probably aggro players or some small amount of combo players. And that means you're not going to run into them that much. So something like Mono Black Control and Pestilence could maybe take out the aggro decks and beat up on mid-range. Not really sure.
Maybe. I don't know. In leagues, we've already seen a bunch of Boros. So maybe Pestilence and NBC do come back. In leagues, who knows?
I don't know enough about Pestilence to know the matchups for that one, so I'd have to get somebody else that say the real answer. It's hard. It feels like I got punched because like I was prepared to lose Sanctuary and then go back to steamrolling Boros and being powerful against aggro, but with still having the Tron menace, it's very frustrating.
Yeah, they just pulled a psych on us. Like, oh, you know, we were hoping for both of them to get banned, and we're gonna see a big variety of decks, and you know, fans was gonna be really good. And it's going to be a completely different deck. But nope.
We saw Sanctuary came into play in like October, November? Not really sure of last year. So that means it's been like 9 months-ish. So that means that we just have to wait until February of next year for them to consider banning Tron.
You know, it won't take that long. This is why Mission Ban Tron exists.
Actually, it's April. Oof. I think It's hard because they give us kind of like roundabout answers on what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And in the ban in the BNR announcement, they basically said it doesn't have enough of a meta share to be a problem. And they didn't actually talk about what the win rate of it is.
Which we actually have from challenge data due to or from the Castle Commons Discord server.
Yeah.
So we know as much data as they know for challenges, but for leagues we have no clue.
Yeah. And I would say that for an inexperienced pilot, your win rate's going to be very minimal, just because of the Magic Online interface. Because your Tron lands are constantly tapping for additional extra mana, so you're like clicking through all the additional mana, trying to figure out what you can do, trying to figure out how to keep your lock going while determining a way to win. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, we also saw this post from Gavin that said, they don't want to get rid of the lands because, people, quote unquote, enjoy playing Tron. And I have not really met anybody that enjoys playing Fogtron. I mean, I enjoy playing, like, Exhume Tron and, the weird Tron decks that are terrible. But, locking people out of the game and, doing all the shenanigans that shouldn't exist is not very fun. But that's just for me and all the Tron players.
Yeah, I actually ran into Bilster in one of my leagues, which was cool. And he was still trying to play Bilster Tron, but unfortunately it's just colorless Boros Monarch at that point, so he ended up getting smoked by Familiars.
I'm still trying to make it work. I'm not too sold on it, though.
I think that you would want to go, like, blue-white and just play preordains.
No, what I'm trying is staying red-white and playing 3 Faithless Looting and 1 Forbidden Alchemy over maps. Looting was in there before, so, you can just dig really hard to find Tron lands that way. And Alchemy is just good in general, as it's like a impulse that has flashback, which is always nice, so...
Yeah, that kind of works. As soon as he got Tron out, he was drawing all the cards.
Yep. That's what it does, and it does it well.
So now we have to just test and see if the Pirates build or the straight up normal build is going to be a better one moving forward.
Yeah, I think we're still in this. I think we're still in this thing where it's like personal preference, whichever one you like. Because it could be like, do you like all in combo? Do you like, controlling and then comboing off, that kind of thing?
Yeah, and Raptor got a 5-0 with his Rainbow Familiar still, so that's another option. Of course, yeah. But that one is like, you just have to draw the nuts and then you win, but if you don't, you can kind of flounder. That's one of the things I like about the blue-white Familiars is just like, you don't generally lose because you didn't draw enough cards or you didn't have the right pieces because there's so many redundant ones.
Yeah. We've even seen Raptors start playing Tron now.
Yeah, I mean, if there's power there, you gotta make your tickets somehow.
Yup. It's so weird that we're just seeing, like, everybody play Tron now.
There's nothing to... Yeah, just seems like there's nothing that can stop you other than variance.
Pretty much. I've said this before, but it's like, the only thing that Tron loses to right now is to itself or losing to turn 3 kills. That's pretty much it.
I'm still going to be trying to play Familiars, and if I hit a 5-0, I'll let everybody know. I'll try to... and then if anybody wants to see the Pirates Familiars, where can they check that out?
You can check it out on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Zimplfy, and twitch.tv/Zimplfy.
And then I will be trying to come up with something that I'm proud of and do a recording over the weekend maybe and share that as well.
Yeah, I've been streaming pretty much daily now. And I did stream my Pirates 4-1, so if you guys want to check that out, you can. I really am liking this list, though. It's nice to just get these random turn 5 kills.
Yeah. It's awesome to just have that I win button. It's pretty cool. I mean, in another case, like, you could have just been playing more deep analysis there, and then you would draw 4 cards for the same amount of mana, and potentially set yourself up that way. But you're still not, like, winning the game on the spot as easily. I guess, how did Archaeomancer go for you? Was that worth playing?
It won me multiple games, actually.
Because it was faster?
Yes. The problem that I had with the Demonic Wall was that, you don't really care about 1 blue a lot of the time. And it was only there because you have Snap Combo where you bounce it back, play it, bounce it back, play it. But that case is very, very rare. And it doesn't really come up that often. So, Mancer does allow for turn 4 and 5 kills pretty... but yeah, it does allow for turn 4 and 5 kills, while Wall is a bit slower. And I actually did lose a turn 5 kill because I had my Demonic Wall in hand and not a Archaeomancer.
Are you going to go to 3 Mancers?
Maybe. I don't know, me and Blue Stalker were talking about it today. And he said, if you get rid of it, you lose an extra combo. So I'm not sure if I want to take the risk or have the consistency instead. I'll probably try out 3 Mancer though. See how that turns out.
I've been really liking just being able to compulsive people, but it is slow and you risk timing out. I played a game against Blue-Black Ratlock, ended up losing 2-1 because I basically just didn't have enough time.
Yeah, I did lose a game to Monarch today because he would not concede, and I had to gain... the only combo I had was Infinite Life, and he was going to deck himself to his own Monarch, so I had to do the same loop, I think, 40 times. I could have did less, but, I was playing it safe, so I went up to 100 life and just said, whatever, we'll go from here.
So you just figured he can't deal 100 damage in a game, so you just F6 for like 15 turns?
Yep. He did get to play stuff, but I also cast stuff, so it didn't really matter. I ended up winning that game with 9 minutes left on clock, and we still had game 2 to play. Yeah, I ended up losing, mostly due to me trying to play super fast and playing super loose. I also sideboarded pretty loosely. He also had like a really good draw, but it happens.
Fair enough. I think I will try to play the Pirates a little bit and try to play just a streamlined version a little bit and see if I can win by having, just more cantrips and more card draw than my opponent and just outvaluing them into dust. And we'll see who comes out the other side. It'll be hopefully a race to a 5-0. I don't want to keep getting 2-3.
I'll race you to it, Callie. We will see who gets one first, I guess.
Yeah.
Whoever dodges Tron the most.
Yeah. We can just set it up so that one of us uses Snow Lands and Terramorphic Expanse.
Ooh, I like that. I call using the good lands, the regular lands.
I really like the Snow Lands lately.
Okay,
Snow Plains is my favorite plains, I think. But we'll see.
I'm a bit of a fan of the Tempest and Alpha lands a lot. Tempest block lands look really good.
It's Snow Plains from Masters Edition 2. It's quite nice.
Yeah, I do like those old snow-covered lands. The old border ones look nice. Do you want to rant for a little bit?
You can go ahead if you want. I don't have that much to say. About the bans other than I'm a little bit disappointed. I'm happy that we are still a thing and relatively good against the format, but I think that Bonder's Ornament, Thriving Isle, and Tron still being a thing is a really big problem. I think that if Tron had gone, we would be seeing a lot of Jeskai Ephemerate. So I'm not sure how much worse that would have been, or if not worse, because that deck is a terror. Although, I think I don't. I mean, they have a ton of removal spells and counter spells, so you can't stick a guy, and then they'll just counter the things that matter, and it's pretty tough.
I don't know. I think I'd rather have that than Tron, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a little bit more like a chess game at least. Whereas Tron is just like, I have Dinrova, and you say, okay.
Okay, I lose.
Yeah, I lost in the challenge to Malavo Dinrova me on turn 3 twice.
That's how it be sometimes.
Is
Damn Tron.
there anything you wanted to rant about?
I mean, I'll go on a little bit of a ramble. I'll pull a Hellsaw and just rant for 30 minutes. But, so, usually with bans, WotC usually does the right thing, right? But they have, I know Gavin said they don't want to have the Splinter Twin situation again, right? Where they remove a tier 1 deck that people spent like hundreds of dollars on, and then, they're just mad at WotC, right? But, every ban usually kills a deck or harms it significantly, right? You look at Blitz, you look at Tribe, right? They lost Gush. They're almost unplayable now. So I think you could either ban a lot of the parts of Tron, like Stonehorn, Ghostly Flicker, like all that stuff. But the thing is that they're replaceable, right? So Tron is a very replaceable deck. You get rid of Expedition Map, you play Cantrips. You get rid of, let's say, you get rid of Ghostly Flicker, right? You play Displace. You get rid of Ephemerate, you just play more Flickers, etc. So the only way to really deal with Tron, I think, is to completely get rid of the lands. You don't have this problem where you have to keep on banning stuff, just keep Tron in check, and then, eventually, 2 years later, Tron gets more cool cards that are busted as hell, and then they abuse them.
Yeah, I think the thing is that Tron, by definition, because it's colorless lands, it's using a ton of fixers. So literally any of the best cards that come out, they can play.
Yep. And this is exactly what happened with Post 2. If you don't know what Post is, it's Cloud Post and Glimmer Post, which Cloud Post says it taps for one colorless equals to the number of locusts you have, and both of the posts are locusts. So, if you have 2 Glimmer Posts, you have 4 mana, right? So it's a better Tron, but they have banned Glimmer Post, right? Why can't you ban Tron? Fast mana is a problem, and they know that. So I'm not sure why they just won't ban him. When we had the same situation back when posts were legal.
I think that they are afraid to make large scale changes because everything has been adapting to Tron, so it's so much more powerful and streamlined, and then it's just going to be like Modern, where you just turn 3ing each other and see who wins. Although it already is that way, so what are you going to do?
I mean, you're going to have to get rid of the lands eventually. It's just a matter of time. We might as well just speed up the process now and just get it over with.
Well, maybe when Tron can play every awesome card, they won't have that many cards they can play because they'll have to find room.
Maybe when they get Expedition Map number 2.
When they downshift Veil of Summer Oko.
Uh-oh. We get Planeswalkers. But, the other thing about the bans is Mystic Sanctuary being gone. They hurt all the blue decks now. So, you have Tron and it's just completely tier 0 now. And you can't do anything about it. It's just lame, people didn't like Blue Monday. I mean, everybody doesn't like bans. But I think they just completely messed up these ones. They're probably going to have to look into it in the future, I think.
Well, hopefully we will be able to complain loud enough and get enough articles written that they hear and see what's going on.
I think it's too early to tell, but I think we also know we have a lot of data from the generous people at Castle Commons, and I think the pro players and people that play the challenges kind of know what they're talking about and know what happens. So I think we should probably just listen to them and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully we can just get rid of the Hopefully we can just get rid of the lands. Thank you, everybody. everybody for watching this episode of Unfamiliar Territory. It was a bit of a quick one, but just want to update you guys on the state of familiars. We were supposed to have 420 Dragon this week, but something came up. But we will be having him next week, which is very cool. I'll be talking to him about his experience back in the days when we had Cloud of Fairies and all the other cool familiar cards and all that jazz. So, Callie, where can we find your content?
Yeah, if anybody wants to follow me, I'm Callie Kais on YouTube, and I can be found on Reddit or Discord under the same name.
And I talked about where my socials are earlier, but I'll repeat it again. You can find my Twitch channel, Zimplfy. Same for my Twitter. My Twitter is Zimplfy1, and my YouTube is also Zimplfy, so you can find me there. And same with Discord. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Unfamiliar Territory, and see you guys next week. Peace.
Thanks, everyone.